Hello, Chris Prime here again for the Prime Target Security channel. Here's a couple interesting facts. A couple of these videos you should watch together. Seems the 9th is going to be a very interesting day. After the videos, check out the links for the people that posted them. Give them some homage, subscribe, be friends. Same with me. Click the little button right down there and we can be friends too.
Greetings everyone. I have some breaking, important, and urgent information that was just handed to me regarding Wednesday, November 9th, this coming Wednesday, the so-called test of the emergency alert system. Very possibly, this may not be a test. I want to refresh your memory back to 9/11 and when the planes flew into the towers, that at the exact same time they were holding a drill, a scenario, if you will, of what would happen if planes flew into buildings. Now Wednesday, November 9th, while they're holding this, it may not be a test. That's what I'm going to bring you. The so-called test of the emergency alert system, they will be holding a drill, a scenario of what to do in case of an emergency, in case of a massive tsunami. I want to thank a viewer and a subscriber of mine, Lady Lynn 525, who is sounding the alarm, and I'm your watchman on the wall, and I am delivering the message. Hello, and she goes on to say, I subscribe to yours and other watchers' channels. I came across something that deserves attention. What do you think of the link below? And I will provide the link in the description box below. It'll be right above the comments. It looks like they're not issuing a test message Wednesday during the FEMA communications shutdown, where they shut down for all forms of communication, radio, television, cell phones, computers. They're issuing a live emergency message, and they're not terminating it as they usually do. So the very first time in history, they are not terminating this message. You know how when they have a test of the emergency alert system, at the end they will say, this has been a test of the emergency alert system. This was only a test. If this would have been an actual emergency, then they give you directions of what to do. They're not doing it for the very first time with this so-called test on Wednesday. And let me take you to the source here. Now this comes from Godlike Productions, and I want to say that I subscribe to them, but they will ban your IP for no reason, no apparent reason. So I get a lot of good information here, and this is where my subscriber has gotten this, and I want to sound the alarm on this because this is very important. I need you to pay close attention. EAS, Emergency Alert System Test, and the EAN, EAT, EOM codes, and we have to understand what these codes are. That's why you've got to go to this article and this thread. It tells you where to go to learn about what these codes are, and it gives you a link. Then, okay, let's go into the article itself. Nationwide EAS test reminders, and that's Emergency Alert System Test Reminders. I get these mixed up myself, so bear with me. An Emergency Action Notification. That's an EAN. Emergency Action Notification. Live code will be used for the test. The test will last approximately 3 minutes. To properly test the EAN, the message must last longer rather than 2 minutes. Now we heard something about 30 seconds. They cannot possibly do what they are doing in 30 seconds, so it looks like we're back to 3 minutes again, if not longer, because this test is not going to end. Do you understand? Let me explain this to you. The Washington, D.C. FIPS code will be used for the test, and end of message, EOM, will be used to close the EAN. Emergency Action Termination, and EAT, will not be used for the very first time. So the person that brought this information out is saying, so they are saying that for the very first time ever in history, they will issue a live EAN, and it will not be terminated with an EAT, an Emergency Action Termination. That's where I just explained to when they come on. This has been a test of the emergency broadcast, and so and so. They will follow the EAN with the EOM, end of message. And this, again, it comes from FEMA. Will an emergency action termination EAT message rather be used? Now, the person goes on to say, so again, the test will consist of a live EAN code, and no termination code will follow. Now, here's where it gets interesting. What will people hear and see during the test? During the test, listeners will hear a message indicating that this is a test. Although the EAS, Emergency Alert System test, may resemble the periodic monthly EAS, Emergency Alert System test, that most Americans are already familiar with, there will be some differences in what viewers will see and hear. The audio message will be the same for all EAS participants. However, due to limitations in the EAS, the video test message scroll will not be the same or indicate that this is only a test. This is due to the use of the live EAN. You understand where I'm at now? The same code that would be used in an actual emergency. The text at the top of the television screen may indicate that an emergency action notification has indeed been issued. Do you see, here's what they're saying now, do you see it now for what it really is? They are telling you in plain English. One, they will activate the EAN code, which is the code to let you know this is a real emergency and which has never been used before, not in any previous test, since using the EAN code requires presidential approval. Two, you might hear this is a test, but you might not read that this is a test. You might instead see an emergency action notification has been issued. The EAN code, the very thing they told you in plain English, was used to inform you of a national alert. And three, they are also saying that they will not end the test EAN with an EAT, Emergency Alert Termination. Instead, they will end with an EOM, and that means the emergency is ongoing. So this quite possibly could not be a test coming up Wednesday, and they are not going to end this so-called test of the emergency alert system the way they normally do if it is only a test. It will be an ongoing alert. So, with that said, I want you to do what it takes. So please, if you think this is important for what's coming up this Wednesday, Tuesday, we've got this Astro 2005 YU55 headed right for us. And now I just brought you this information. Don't make me scream and be foolish. If you think this information needs to get out, mirror this video, at least like the video, so it will pop up where people will have access to see this. I think this is very important, and it is a breaking bit of information, and I want to thank my viewer and subscriber for getting me this information so I can bring it to you. Leave me comments on this one. Let's discuss this. Leave me comments and spread this video around. God bless everyone.
Hi guys, welcome to another hard and fast run through of some things I've come across, and I'm just putting some questions out there for you all. I compress these videos and pack in as much information as possible so that you guys can pause it if need be, so you can catch any of the information that I've maybe run over too quickly. Now I'd like you to just follow me through a string of things that I've found which it creates some questions in my opinion. There's something like 1.5 million websites out there talking about Comet Elenin at the moment. While this comet comes close, it has a partner comet which is coming even closer, which is U55. U55 comes within 329,000 kilometers from Earth's orbit, roughly, or approximately 204,000 miles. The Moon's orbit is 350 to 400,000 kilometers from Earth, so it's actually coming closer than the orbit of the Moon to the Earth. As you can see with these diagrams, it shows that it's coming past, but not actually hitting the Earth. On the 8th and 9th of November 2011, U55 will be the closest to Earth on its path. So on the 9th of November, it will be approximately 239,000 kilometers from Earth. Here's where it gets interesting. If you Google Elenin nasasite.gov and click on the GCN link, it brings you here. The number they've attributed to Comet Elenin is 111 1133. If you then go to if you type in 1133 in the NASA site.gov, you come up with this KML file, which is a Google map. It's a marker on Google Maps. Now, lots of people have posted videos on this and have shown this area here where X marks the spot. Now, jumping back to U55, this from the NASA Jet Propulsion Lab website, we can see U55 here, and there's Earth. And I hope this comes out on the screen, but you can see the date, 7th of October, and the distance from the Earth. And if we toggle forward, you can see the two intersect and come to its closest point, which is the 9th of November. Now to link it together. This tsunami warning exercise, carried out on the 9th to 10th of November 2011, is going to happen in exactly that area. What I find curious is the date, 9th to 10th of November, coincides with the comet U55 coming close to the Earth. Now, in this PDF it talks about some of the areas which have been hit in the past by massive tsunamis, being Samoa, Tonga, Papua New Guinea, Chile, Japan, a whole range of other places. Now, something to keep in mind, the tsunami in Japan was somewhere around 70 to 140 foot and took out 217 square miles, or that's approximately 500 square kilometers. Now, a tsunami created from an asteroid could be in the range of 1,000 foot high, roughly 300 meters in height. So I wonder how much land that would cover before it slowed down. The purpose of the exercise is to get staff ready in case of a real event, and every Pacific country is encouraged to participate. Now, this simulated exercise in the Pacific on the 9th and 10th of November covers all of these areas. I'd like you to take note of the various places like the South China Seas, Pacific Ocean, through the Philippines, Chile, Central America, Aleutian Islands, and we'll have a look at those on the map in a moment. One thing they stress with this is that all documentation and correspondence relating to this exercise is to be clearly identified as exercise Pacific wave and for exercise purposes only. They do note that in the case of a real event occurring during the exercise, they will issue their normal message products for the event. Such messages will be given full priority and a decision will be made by each international centre whether to continue or cease their participation in the exercise. Smaller earthquakes that only trigger a tsunami information bulletin will not disrupt the exercise. They've included a sample tsunami energy forecast map and note the area that it's being started off at and the areas affected. Another sample map with affected coastal areas. Now, looking at some history, speaking of exercises around the world, it's happened many times in the past where massive events have happened right at the time that they were running exercises for an operation for exactly the same thing as the event that occurred. You know, I'm talking massive events. So we've got the London Underground bombing, had exercises running at the same time and place as the real attack happened. Now, the events that happened on 9/11 also had an exercise running where they simulated planes being overtaken and terrorist bombings and so on. So that's another occasion where they were running an exercise on exactly the same time and day on exactly the same issues, and it happened. So without going into too many more, there's just two examples of major world incidents where they've been doing exercises at that particular time. Now, this exercise here, which is on exactly the same location and region as where X marks a spot, what is the link between Elenin, 1133, X marks the spot, tsunami, and this Pacific region exercise in regards to awareness for a catastrophe, where they've got all of their people on emergency alert in all of those areas, all through these zones here, covering these regions. South China Sea, Philippine Sea, Eastern China Sea, around Japan. So my question is this just purely an exercise? Or is there more to the comet and its close passing than what we know about? Since it takes at least 2 years to plan for an exercise like they're doing here, it would seem as though they have some kind of pre-knowledge that we're not privy to. However, it could just be an exercise as they state. So do they know that there's going to be some kind of impact which is going to create some kind of tsunami-like activity, and they're actually getting out there in preparation for it, almost as if it was another 9/11 type attack or a London bombing? Or are they going to use HAARP and actually create an earthquake in that zone to coincide on that day and create some waves and make us think that it's one of these end of the world events? I'd like to get your thoughts and feedback on this. Join the dots, have a look. All of the links will be available in the information underneath the video for the various sites.